in case you haven't seen it, I got my little friend with me. Now I'm into this Labubu thing. Don't judge me. But I had to get one and, dress him up and put clothes on. Let me zoom in again. There we go. Put clothes on him and stuff. I think they're dope. Okay? But anyway, back to the video. YouTube. Is this thing on? I got you right this time. Like I tell y'all, I pay attention to all the comments, all the love shown and everything. And I actually had now, here's the thing. I don't want to call y'all subscribers. I would rather call y'all like my loyal people that watch the videos and comment. I would rather call y'all family. So I had a family member by the name of Katie Mess. He always reminds me to do the whole, is this thing on? So I didn't forget it this time. I took care of it. Shout out to you, Katie Mess. Okay, I also had a family member by the name of Hammerhead Garage 1 who said, hey, I like everything you're doing, but, how come you don't never show us the engine bay? And I had to explain to him, well, I don't really show the engine bay like that because I got some things I need to do under there. But you know what? Since you asking for it, I'm going to give it to you. So this one's for you, Hammerhead Garage 1. Here's a little pic of the engine bay. Now, it's D-Series right now, but I plan on, don't kill me, okay? I plan on going B-Series, okay? Now, I know. K is the way. But me wanting to keep it nostalgic and just that OEM form of the way it could come, especially with me wanting to build like a SIR build, it only makes sense to be B-Series, okay? So that's the plans if I was ever to swap it, excuse me. Now, at the same time, while we're D-Series, for those of you that pay attention to the other videos, I do work at a detail center that does, the cars for different dealerships. So I do get a discount in Honda. So my plan is, to go over this D-Series engine, replace as much as I can with brand new stuff, parts, and, replace all the tens and stuff and, get that fresh zinc color on all the tens and stuff like that, just to give it a revamp and make everything as new as possible. Okay, now that we got past that, let's talk about what this video is going to be about, okay? So today, new week, new video, right? Okay? I'm bringing y'all here because I want to talk about something that I feel like all these 90s JDM cars suffer from, okay? And that's, a little bit of rust. Now, let's face it. When we see these little 90s cars, we tend to always see some rust somewhere. So people always want to know, how did you keep yours so clean and rust-free and stuff like that? So I'm going to share a little bit of secrets, give y'all a little bit of game today, okay? So there's a few spots on the hatch that are just known to show rust if you don't take care of it. And then I'm going to show you a spot today, that can show rust as well if you don't take care of it, that maybe you don't know about, maybe you do, okay? But let's start out with the obvious, okay? So the first spot, if you ever notice, most EK hatches, or the coupes or the sedans, either one, they tend to show rust either right here or somewhere along in here, down here, or something like that. Now, in my opinion, the reason for that is when you get these cars like brand new back in the 90s, they had it was almost like a plastic rubbery like trim liner that literally lined, the wheel well. Now that stuff being on there had a tendency to catch debris, hold water and stuff like that. And if you know anything about rust, the longer you let the water sit there, the more chance you have of, getting some rust. So with those things holding the water and debris and stuff like that there, you had a better opportunity of getting some rust. So me personally, when I clean my car and I wash it or something like that, now I don't know if you have this available, where you're from. But where I'm from, we have a auto place by the name of, it's killing me. What's the name of that store? Well, you got like Advanced Auto, AutoZone, and stuff like that. But what you need to do is, pick you up, if you can, some air tools, okay? And what I tend to do is I get my air compressor out. Now, I do this at my job. I get my air compressor and I get my air gun. And whenever I wash the car, you know, I'll sit there and I'll take the air gun and I'll, blow the air all through the wheel well because I have my fenders rolled. So just to make sure that nothing's sitting in there where it was rolled at, I'll just blow through it. That way I'm blowing any water and any debris out so it's not sitting there. Okay, now it just came to me. The shop I was referring to is Harbor Freight. Okay, I don't know if you have one where you're at, but if you do, they're a nice place to shop at. They don't cost that, they're very, reasonable prices. So you can stop there and pick up some air tools. And that way you can, like I said, take care of the things that you need to take care of to try to keep this, your car as rust free as possible. So I'll literally go around with the air gun and I'll, take care of, this brain freeze. I'll take care of this wheel well here, and then I'll go in the front, and then I'll go over to the other side and do the same thing over there as well. Now, another place on the hatches that tends to rust is right here. You have this gap line. Okay, water and debris also can sit down in here all along this tunnel. Okay, so what I tend to do is, same scenario, I'll take that air gun and I'll just blow all that water out, any type of debris and dirt. I try to keep these channels, as clear as possible so that nothing is sitting there, okay? Now, here's my secret, okay? Like I said, some people may know about it, some people may not, okay? The third place that I know and I've seen rust on these cars is up here, okay, along this tunnel right here, this channel, whatever you want to call it, where this rubber, seal is, Now, what happens is, dirt, debris, water, stuff like that tends to get up under here and get trapped and sit there, okay? So, to keep that from happening, what I'll tend to do is every once in a while, I'll just go in because it's not too hard to remove these, okay? So I'll just go in, okay, and I'll just lift it up like so, and then I'll look down in there for any dirt or debris. Now, mine's not too bad because, I usually stay up on my maintenance and keep it pretty clean. But if I see any type of dirt or debris or anything like that, I just keep pulling, keep taking it out, okay? Any type of dirt or debris, I'll come in with my rag. Oh, in case you haven't seen it, I got my little friend with me. I'm into this Labubu thing. Don't judge me. But I had to get one and, dress him up and put clothes on. Let me zoom in again. There we go. Put clothes on him and stuff. I think they're dope. Okay? But anyway, back to the video. So I'll take like a rag and I'll literally just go in here and just come along here and wipe out just like that. Okay? Actually, it is some dirt in there. Okay? So I'll do that a couple times. Now, if I notice, let me put that back there. If I notice where it's like really, really, really dirty, and now we're just gonna take this and we're just gonna seat it back down in there, just like this. Okay, let's get that back in there. And then see right here, you have like a hook and pull type of feature. So what you do is you put it on there and push it down, pull it out, and then just push it up. Okay, and that's what locks it down on there. And then you can just go back in and press down in all your little spots like that, okay? And I'm telling you, this is a very well-known place that rust and stuff can start because you'll be surprised if you don't do this. Lift them up when you get a chance and just notice the dirt and debris that I'm sure you'll have under there, okay? Now, me personally, I don't worry about too much water because, as you can see, I have no windshield wipers. So my case in point is, I try my best not to, drive this car in the rain, okay? So therefore, I try to prevent from, a whole lot of water sitting on it or sitting in those areas and stuff like that. But as you know, you can never be perfect. It is going to happen at some point. You may go to a show or an event or something like that, and you may get caught in the rain, and then, you got to do your maintenance and stuff like that you need to take care of those areas so that you don't start seeing rust, because it can and it will happen if you slip up on your maintenance. These cars, like I said, next time you see a 90 Civic on the road, just pay attention to those areas. Now, you're not going to be able to see the ceiling unless it's sitting there and you can do a real quick visual of it. But pay attention, look down the side of it, and I guarantee you, especially along that rear wheel well, you'll see some rust or something, starting to form and starting to pop up, because it's a very known area, okay? Man, we got a plane going above us, messing up the sound on my video, okay? But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to keep y'all here long. I mainly just wanted to, show you some of my care tips and some of my preventative, rust, tips that I use when I clean the car. Because like I said, every time I post a picture on Instagram or something like that to that nature, or Facebook, I'm not really that active on Facebook, but either way, someone always tends to ask me, how do you keep this car so clean and just so, immaculate? And I said, okay, well, in a later video, maybe I'll give you all the stuff that I use on this car. Okay. But for now, I just wanted to give you some, a little bit of preventative, tips and tricks you can use to keep that rust away, because once that rust starts, now you got to cut it out, replace the quarters, and do all types of stuff like that. And I don't know about you, but I personally don't feel like doing all that, okay? So that's going to wrap up this video. Continue to show love and support. Like I said, I pay attention to y'all. I see the comments. I see the love being shown, and it is greatly appreciated, I promise you, okay? Keep it simple. Keep it humble. Keep it you. And, as always, I'll be back. I'll see y'all next week, all right?
A few moments later.
Man, I just talked about how, I don't drive this car in the rain and stuff like that. I don't know if y'all can tell, but it sure look like it's about to come down. So it's time for me to get out of here. I am not trying to get caught in it. But just like I told y'all, the pain in the behind part is, shout out to the Boo Boo again. I can't just get in and go. As you can see, I'm all the way down. So I got to air this thing up and hurry up and get out of here, before this rain comes. All right? Y'all be safe.